two short-term rental bros come together.
What?
Not in that way, bro. There's a podcast of truly epic proportions where we talk about all things short-term rental and shoot the shit along the way. Welcome to the Co-Host Bros Podcast. Here are your hosts, Matt Codd and Austin Spitz.
Hey everybody, welcome to another show. Oh shit, I'm gonna have to redo that one. All right.
Blooper segment. Hey, blooper segment there.
There you go. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Bros Podcast. My name is Matt and I'm here with my buddy Austin, and we got the Q&A of the day. So let's get rolling.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? For those of you guys, I think Matt might cut it out, but he completely botched the intro for today. So maybe we'll include that, maybe not. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So how's everything going with you, man?
Well, I fucked up the intro, so it's a good start to the day. I mean, you know, we just did, yesterday was my son's 14th birthday. So four more years, another presidency, and my son's out of the house. No. So that was cool.
Yeah, nice. I saw him. I saw on social media you had him with some VR headset on, and you put some like groovy disco music behind it, and it seemed like he was doing some dance moves in the house. So seems like he celebrated his birthday pretty well.
He was playing on the Apple Vision Pro. It's like he was playing a game. It was like Guitar Hero, but it's like for that. So you have to like punch all the notes. You just look utterly stupid. It was funny. So I took a video of it, and then he was like, "Don't post it." I was like, "Don't worry, no girls are gonna see. You're fine." So it was cool.
Hey, there you go. Well, let's jump into some short-term rental. Topics here. We'll start with what property management software do you utilize, and what features do you like about it?
Cool. So I mean, I guess you're asking me, not the guy behind me. So I use the same software as you do. I use Hospitable. I like Hospitable. I like the auto messaging. I like the AI that they have built in. I like to be able to do custom codes and randomly offer stuff based on situational issues. I like the automatic door lock feature. However, there's been a lot of problems with Hospitable lately, and I'm really debating on changing because it's like every week they're having a problem right now, and I know they're growing, and that's tough, but it's just a constant issue. Like I can't log in on the browser. I can only log in on my cell phone right now. It's like you reach out to support, you wait a week, you know, so it's kind of tough. It's a great software. Like it really is. Like everything is so easy to use. It's like using an iPhone. It's all streamlined and easy to use, but it's like a lot of the time it's just not working for me personally. So what about you?
Yeah, I use Hospitable as well. I like a lot of the features that it has. I think that it's like that with a lot of, from my understanding, from talking to people that use a bunch of different other softwares, you have to pick and choose your battles. I feel like a lot of them have certain features that they excel at, and then there's other property management softwares that maybe are lacking some of the things that, say, Hospitable would have. But all that to be said, Hospitable pretty much provides everything I need for my management business. I haven't needed to upgrade to anything more robust. So for now, I'm good with it, and I'm happy with the program. I think one of the cool features you showed me the other day that I kind of wasn't aware of, and I was able to utilize recently as I had a not so great guest, is you can utilize that last minute review feature. Instead of, I was always marking calendars on my I was always marking events on my calendar to make sure and go back and leave a bad review. But I figured out through you that you can kind of set that last minute review, and it'll automatically, at least through Airbnb, go back and at the very last minute ding them, so they're not, you know, enticed to retaliate to you if you have to request damages and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was a cool feature I learned about recently. So
Did you get it set up?
appreciate that. Yeah, for that guest at least, I got to figure out how to. Then after that, I was like, okay, I'm still going in and manually doing all these reviews, and it's just another time suck. So I was like, okay, let's just auto set this 3 days out,
Yeah.
automatic, same review. Yeah, it's not it doesn't have that personal touch because everybody's getting the same review as long as you're, the 95 percentile of the quality guest that we usually have. Um, but it saves me time because now it's like that automatic review just goes out and boom, don't have to worry about
Well,
that.
you can cycle through
They
different
need to
ones
have,
if you want.
yeah, yeah, we need to have like I'm just thinking from a time perspective. We need to have like a automatic AI response to the review, because you want to reply to every review. So that's like, I'm also going in there and be like, oh, thank you. You're a great host. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed feeding the deer, whatever.
That's funny you said that because that is another reason why I am thinking of switching. So Bestie.ai, we've talked about this before. We did a demo with them. I did a demo with them, Bestie.ai, and it'll respond to the reviews for you. It'll write reviews for you. Basically, it just says, "Hey, Austin, here's a new review for you. Go ahead and read it. Send it when you're done." Trying to get Hospitable to partner with them, but they don't want to for obvious reasons. They have their own AI issue. They have their own AI thing. So I know that OwnerRez is going to pick it up really shortly. The only thing I don't like about OwnerRez is their messaging sucks. So if they pair with Bestie, then maybe OwnerRez is going to be freaking killer because Bestie.ai is going to be amazing. And I suggest everybody go check that out. Just, get with Sam and set up a demo, but it's going to be pretty epic on time saving. It's going to be like having a virtual assistant in your pocket for, like $12 a month or something. It's pretty cheap. But yeah, if they actually link that together, and it would be great. And yeah, when you messaged me about that, you were like, "Oh, how do I send my guests a bad review at the last minute?" And I was like thinking about it, and I was like, "I think you have to have the auto review set up, if I recalled." So there's a checkbox you check that says like boom, and then there's a bad review that you turn on, and then it'll send it to your guest, which is pretty sweet. I don't think they'll ever work it out on Verbo because Verbo will not give anybody API anything. So you're always going to have problems with Verbo. There are always issues with every PMS you have out there, so.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's just me getting with the times. Like every time I think about something I'm doing, I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's a way to automate this.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't want to set calendars and be like, hey, I got to remember, leave that guest a bad review, but you don't want them to retaliate to you. So it's like,
Yeah.
there's got to be a way to automate this stuff because then if you miss it, then,
Well,
somebody else might you want to look out for other hosts, right?
yeah.
So you don't want this person in this group staying. I don't want them to come and book your place, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I've got to look out for you because you might see all those. They all had previous good 5-star reviews, and then kind of just I was the unlucky one that got screwed. So if their next step is to go book with you, and I don't do my due diligence and leave that bad review for them, well, guess what? They're coming up. They're coming to fuck up your house next. So
Yeah.
potentially, I mean that you're more exposed. So I got to do my part as a host to communicate that.
Yeah, let me provide clarity on the last minute review because I see a lot of people posting saying, I don't want to leave a bad review because then I'm going to get a bad review in return. Well, surprise. First of all, the guest doesn't even know you're leaving a bad review until they leave their own review. So they don't know what you write. So the reason for Austin's tactic to do a last minute review, so everybody knows, is so that they don't leave a review at all. So they don't even have an opportunity, whether it was going to be good or bad. Regardless, they can't go in there, leave a review. Then if it was good, call Airbnb and get it taken down. It's just more hassle for us as hosts. So we don't, you want to do it the last minute, so you don't want to have to bother with it. So because they'll get an email saying, hey, Austin wrote you a review. By the time they read it, it'll be like hour, 2-3 hours later, and they've already missed the review window. Done, bing, bang, boom. They're out of your life forever. But now other hosts know about it. But don't be scared to write a negative review on your guests because the guests cannot see it until they write you a review. So tell us because it's not cool. If you don't tell us if someone trashes your place and you're like, they were a great guest and they come and trash my place, I'm going to be like, where's that fucker that wrote that review? I'm going to call him up. I'm going to figure it out because that's just ridiculous. It's not cool. So, I mean, you got to be honest in your reviews, folks. So do that, please.
Yeah, I agree. Not reporting something like that is selfish because you're basically screwing over the next guy. So no good. But yeah, definitely figure out how to finesse the system, and there's a way to do it, and it's a learning experience for everyone. But every situation is different. You just figure out how you got to go about it to execute it without getting the bad reviews, and how to collect the funds if damages occur and stuff like that. So anyways, I guess that brings me to my next question, which would kind of go hand in hand of what we started talking about. Like, have you had any experience with really bad guests? I know I have, so I'll go ahead and share first. The spring breakers this time, for the most part, were pretty good. One group was very terrible, um, caused a significant amount of damage. Doing disgusting college behaviors in the house, and kind of all that fun stuff, and they recouped a lot of damage for us, and a lot of headache and time on our part. But that's kind of where I was getting at with that conversation. But the worst guest I'd say that I ever had was this guy. he stayed he was one of the first guests that I had in my place, and he was real weird. He booked. It was a good payout. The problem was, as soon as he booked, I didn't allow dogs. He decided at that point, oh, I'm going to bring my dog. So he messages me about it. Me being a new host, I made the mistake, and I was like, you know what? I'll just add a pet fee, even though I don't allow dogs, because this is a high payout. Big mistake. So, you know, long story short, he doesn't bother me the whole time he's here. Come back, a lot of damages. The blinds were messed up. The toilet was messed up. There was like puke in the bed. And I think this guy was just boozing pretty heavy, honestly. And then start going back and I look at the cameras. And when I start looking at the cameras, I'm getting this damage report ready, and I'm looking at the cameras, and this guy's like, weirdly enough, it's late at night, and I think he's either just kind of weird or he had too many whiskeys, but he's walking around the front porch and the front yard just butt ass naked. And
Nice.
I'm like, okay, well, I got yeah, so I got this on camera. I'm like, man, he just needs to pay for the damage. I'm not going to expose this guy. I guess it was 2 years ago, so he's getting exposed now, but he'll probably never hear this. But I would say it was the probably the worst guess, but definitely the weirdest guess, because walking around in the front yard, butt naked, and I'm not looking for this stuff, but I had to check my cameras. I was like, oh my goodness, this is wild. And luckily our place is pretty remote, so there's no neighbors really to the left or right. So that's good news. No lawsuits or no police coming by. But yeah, naked guy in the yard, dude.
That's awesome. Like, that's great. I mean, I'm almost speechless. So, like, I don't check my cameras very often either. I usually check them like check-in day, just to make sure to see how many guests check in, or if they have an extra pet or some, make sure they're following the rules. And then I'll check it check out day. I mean, after that, there's really no reason for me to check it. I'll check it, make sure my cleaner shows up. But I'll get a notification. So I already know what the notifications are for, right? I get the first notification. I know they're arrived. So let me see how many they have. All the notifications between their stay, don't even look because I don't care. Last notification, checkout time, I check, make sure they checked out. Next notification, cleaner, cool, make sure she's coming, perfect. Like, but that's crazy that you had that. Luckily, you didn't catch him peeing off the deck, and luckily you didn't share that information, or you'd be on like ABC right now. Because I saw a story. I saw a story where an Airbnb host, probably a terrible one, outed somebody for having an affair on her camera or something. Like, some dude like brought his chick, or maybe the other way around, to an Airbnb. Which, first of all, if you have an Airbnb, it's none of your fucking business. Because I mean, not saying that it's okay to cheat on your significant other. I'm just saying that, like, it's none of your business. Your right is to safeguard their privacy. And how would you even fucking know it wasn't their wife? I don't understand that. Like, I don't get how that happened. I don't know if you know more about that story, but I saw it, and I don't understand how I would know that dude is cheating on his wife. How would I know that? Like, as an Airbnb host, I'm just like, okay, cool, dude's taking his chick for a weekend. Nice. Like, I don't know. Do you see that?
Yes. Yeah, I did see that. I don't know the whole story. I just heard it through someone else, so don't quote me. I don't know, but exactly what you said. I think he threw a party or did some damages, didn't want to pay for those damages, something like that. Guy started doing his due diligence. I mean, everything's on social media. You can find it out, man. I mean, that's that's a little bit extreme. Like looking through the cameras, saying, "Oh, that's another girl. That's the guy that booked. That's not his wife. Let me go find him on." And I don't know the whole story, but that's what I believe happened. But you got to do some serious detective work there. But that does bring me to another point that I wanted to talk about. You kind of spurred this idea for me, and it's like cameras. Okay. The thing for me is just like the real reason cameras are there are just for you to reference in case something has happened. So guests are entitled to their privacy, and you as a host, I mean, you really shouldn't be looking at that. And I think also like to your point, like if you want to check, like as soon as they get here, make sure there's not 20 cars in the driveway when there's supposed to be two. Yes, I understand that. But as like referencing as a host, if you're just referencing your cameras every time you get a notification, I turn those off because number one, the guests want their privacy. Number two, you're going to drive yourself crazy looking at those camera notifications and be like, they weren't supposed to bring a dog. I think I see a dog in there. It's just like, whatever, man. It's part of it. Like, turn your notifications off if everything seems fine. And now, if you get flagged for something, you can reference those cameras back. But, and I think it's part of also the stigma of like people think it's weird too already when they show up and they see all the cameras.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just think you'll drive yourself mad every time you get a camera note, especially like once you start managing, 10 properties and you have all these security cameras, and you really like sitting there all night long at 10 o'clock at night, trying to figure out who's doing something shady.
Yeah.
It's like, you probably need to find a new business or something.
Or hire a
something
security guard. One or the other.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, if you
Go
ahead.
No, you're good. I'm listening.
Yeah. I said, I guess if you have the revenue and you're all in one market and you're like, hey, I can afford to pay a security guard just, weekends to drive around at night to check the properties. I've never heard of anyone doing that, but I mean, I don't think there's really a return on an investment there. Maybe, I guess if you, prevent some potential damage, but yeah, maybe could be something.
If you had a whole compound of villas or something, with like a Saturday check-in and Saturday check-out, then you probably have to have security because you probably have like 100 different units. But Airbnb actually came out with a new rule a couple weeks ago, and I look at the stuff that comes out, but I don't like, oh, let me share it with everybody, because it's like I don't think about that kind of stuff. I don't think about it that way. But effective, I think it is sometime in April, you're not allowed to have cameras inside, which you shouldn't have cameras inside in the first place, FYI. I think that's really weird. Like if I came into a rental and somebody had a camera inside, I would probably do something inappropriate just to be like, haha, you're looking at me, let me show you something fun. That's just my personality. Like I have a problem with authority. But yeah, you're not supposed to have them inside, and then at, I think, common areas or something. I don't know how that's going to affect people who have to have a camera over their pool for insurance purposes. I know I've heard of some people that had to have cameras over their pool and hot tub for insurance reasons. That's required by their insurance in certain locations. So I'm not really sure how that'll affect that. My camera doesn't face my front door. My camera faces the entrance. People have to go up my stairs to get to my front door. My camera faces those stairs. I don't want to face the door. I don't want to face the deck. I don't want to see what they're doing on the deck. I try to give them as much privacy as possible. I just need to be able to validate, and that's it. That's my goal, to validate.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess my next one is it's all kind of on the same topic here. So what do you do anything additional to screen guests? So I'll say what I personally do, at least for Airbnb. I do require for all of our listings to have previous reviews. I think that I love that feature, and it's mitigated a lot of risk for me in our business. Sure, the bad ones every now and then they'll slip through the cracks, like the spring breakers did for me. But we have that feature on, so we screen, make sure that they're pre-screened, and if they're not, they can still request a book. We just do a little additional digging. Maybe follow up with a few follow-up questions to find out why they're going to the area, and if it makes sense, we approve it that way. But I like that feature of kind of having that on, at least for Airbnb. Do you do any kind of additional screening or have that feature on, or you just full send?
So you have Instabook on? Is that what it is?
Yes.
Okay, so I didn't understand that when we talked about that earlier. Okay.
Yeah, so instant book plus you need previous reviews, I guess, if that makes sense. You need previous positive reviews, and I think it's that section at the end where whenever you're reviewing someone, it says, "Would you recommend this guest to other hosts?"
Yeah.
And I guess if you get a no, they can't. And people that have never booked before can still request to book. You just can't instant book.
Yeah, so I do the same thing actually. So I guess I misunderstood when we were talking about earlier because I didn't realize you were talking about Instabook. I thought you just meant in general you only accept people that had good reviews. So yeah, so my Instabook threshold is that they have to have good review. However, almost all the inquiries I get, I almost accept them all unless it's suspicious. Like you do, I ask where they're coming from or what the reason their visits, things like that. If I did have like a young kid in his 20s who wanted to keep booking Saturday night only, and he wanted to max out the thing, and I kept denying him. Finally, I had to change it to 2 nights at that short notice, and then raise the price a little bit. And he stopped inquiring just because I knew he was going to throw a party. He had no reviews. It was just, you could just tell, like sometimes you get a feeling, and then if they don't have any reviews or anything, like normally I'll look them up on the social media. I'll look Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever you can to see if they're actual person for one, right? Um, because you need to know that you don't want to have just a random person come up. I know some people take driver's license and stuff. I don't know. I don't really like that. I mean, you could do that through like owner res with your rental agreement and stuff like that. But I don't like people taking just driver's license just to take driver's license. I know there's some people that do that, but I think it's kind of, I don't feel like my information is safe personally. If it was like a program when you book like directly with me, I goes through Superhog, and then you upload your license like that, then yeah, I mean, cool. I know that my information's safe with a third party company, but that's just my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that at Airbnb, I think now you can't even book unless your identity is verified anyways, which
Mm-hmm.
requires you uploading your ID. So I guess you don't have access to that as a host, but your ID's out there somewhere. So somebody, the people at Airbnb at least know who you are. And yeah.
Hey, Verbo, I'd be more worried about people on the Verbo because their verification isn't shit. Like all they got to do is type in the email address and say, yep, it's my email address, and then verify the code. And that's it. You're verified. Could be anybody verified.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and that's true. We get a smaller percentage, let's say 20% from VRBO anyways.
Mm-hmm.
But I think those typically tend to be like older folks
Yeah.
anyways, like a older population of people. So like typically with the VRBO, we've had a lot of like just good guests. I mean, they just need their handheld a little more and maybe aren't as tech savvy because Airbnb, the platform, say what you want about Airbnb, but as to me, it's very, very functional, very
Oh
user
yeah.
friendly.
Oh yeah. It's like the Apple of the Airbnb apps, depending the two. My Verbo guests are the same. So like, I don't message them in Verbo. I actually text them because they don't read the messages. And then they'll be like, oh, well, I never got my check-in instructions. Well, you did. You just didn't check the app and didn't know you got checked. I also charge more on Verbo, though, too. I have a markup of 10%. It's 10% more on Verbo than it is on Airbnb, for me at least.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
do you mark up anything?
That makes sense. Yeah, I have like a percentage markup in VRBO as well, but I think it's like when I set it up, I don't remember, but they're all marked up the same amount, but it's kind of to offset the more expensive uh, cost of booking because of VRBO's fees, you
Yeah,
know?
their fees are
So
crazy.
yeah, plus it's not like you're saying, it's not as a user friendly. It's not as a seamless hosting process when they go through VRBO. You got to be more tentative to make sure things are going through the app and making sure that everything. So to me, it's like, okay, well, is we need to charge a higher percentage because this is requiring more of my attention anyways. So yeah, I do. I charge more on VRBO, but like I said, also get 20% of bookings from there anyway. So
Yeah.
whatever.
If it was Verbo dominant market, then I probably wouldn't. Like if I noticed like all my bookings were coming through Verbo, then maybe it might be a different story, right? But I don't know. It is clunky. It is clunky. It's probably they need some work because like Airbnb, I can switch between hosting and finding a house with a click of a thumb. With Verbo, you have to have 2 different apps, and then it's like the only thing that I like that they're doing good at positive is key cash. Have you seen that? So if you book on Verbo, you get a percentage as cash that you can use toward your next trip if you want to, or whatever trip. You could save it up, and then you can go book like a $3,000 a night, and say you have $50 in key cash, you'll get $50 off. Verbo will foot that bill, which is pretty neat. So they're kind of giving back to the guests. It's like a rewards program. Which there needs to be, honestly, in the industry, there needs to be some kind of standardized rewards program to where like some operator or owners come together and make some kind of software to make some kind of rewards program to where, we could all get together and do like a Hilton Marriott thing. I think that would be pretty sweet, stay 10 nights and get the 11th free or some crap like that. But I mean, as we move along and progress with the way that short-term rentals go, vacation rentals go, there's going to be standardization. And I've seen some standardization. Somebody in my mastermind group posted a link the other day of they're luxury houses, but they're standardized. So every single house, no matter where it is across the nation, has the same stuff in it. Same linens, same soaps, same blah, 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 same this, same that. So it's just like kind of like a Marriott, right? And even the pictures or the cover photos are the same. Like the houses are different, but they're all taken at the same time, sunset with the lights on in the windows, kind of just like you're selling a house on realtor.com. But they're all even the pictures seem standardized. And it's a good thing. It's cool. It's a good thing for the industry. I think the standardization is what needs to happen because you have a lot of people they just don't care. They turn it on. And you go somewhere and they sleep 6 and they have like 4 bowls. And you're like, huh? We don't even have enough bowls to eat like spaghetti or whatever, So standardization is good, I think. So it'll help the industry.
Yeah, I agree. And I love those kind of property managers and owners that neglect their property because, like you said, times are changing and this market has boomed over the last few years. And now people are realizing that it's more competitive. Like the curve, it's on the downward of the curve. So it's like you have to have your shit together. And those kind of operators I love because they're not going to be around much longer. It's the guys like me and you that execute on all the little things day in and day out that we're going to smash the neighbor that's doing that. And that's good because it's hard now, but they'll fall off when they're not making any money and they're going to sell and they're going to go tell all their friends and all their family that Airbnb doesn't work and this stuff is a scam. But it's like, really, your operations are a scam. And that's why you have bad reviews. So I kind of like, those kind of owners because it just makes it easier for us and they'll be gone eventually. So, and then I wanted to ask another thing. So you had mentioned the VRBO key cache, not as familiar with that, but one thing that I do have to give Airbnb props on, at least for my account setup. And I don't know if I think the numbers fluctuate, but at least my referral fee, and I try and communicate this as much as possible. If I refer another host, I'm at $720 and I've already gotten a number of those. So it's
Really?
like, it's an easy way to rake up cash. Yeah. So I don't know how it used to be when I first started, like $100. Then it went to like $400. Now today, when I go to the refer a host button, it's $720, and I've gotten paid that out. I've gotten paid out on that multiple times now. So like, you have to. What I remember is I always try and keep it fresh in my mind that like if I see a Facebook post or I see something, it's like, hey, they have a question, they're getting their listing. Go, well, I'm going to help them, but like, okay, slightly in return, like, hey, can you just use my link when you sign up? So I don't know if you're looking at
I
that
am
now,
looking
but
at it because I've never referred a host. So just so you guys know, if you need me to refer you, please hit me up for the referral link. No, I'm at 660. So I'm at 660 for every host that I refer. I've never used it. I think apparently they get money too. Well, that's cool. $40.
yeah, like $40 or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
But yeah, referrals are where it's at though in general because it's the same thing. Like if I referred you to Hospitable, right, and then I would get money off and you would get money off, or I referred you to Price Labs, we both get money off. Stayify, same thing. Stayify is a little harder to get on the referral program, but so when you get a new host, like you get a new house, you get a new contract, do you create a new listing and refer it to yourself? Is that what you do?
Yeah,
Ah,
that's what I do
bonus.
because Because as a co-host, so the way I'm structured is they it's not property management. These accounts are not under the property management company account where I'm collecting funds, doing an escrow. No, the owners are getting paid out, so they need their own account. Now they do take ownership of that account, so they will become a new host that's referred to by me. So that I kind of initiate as my setup fee. A lot of co-hosts will be like, "Yeah, well, I can get everything set up for you for $1,000." I'm just like, "Hey, no setup fee, but I'm going to get this 720 referral fee, and that's my cut for doing the work up front, and I love it because they don't have to pay me anything. Airbnb pays me anything. Airbnb wins because they have a new listing that they can make revenue off of. I get paid my 720. I guess the host gets the new host gets $40, which is kind of irrelevant, but I'll set up the new account in their name, and they own it at the end of the day. So if they, for whatever reason, decide to fire me, they still have all those 5-star reviews that I got them, and I win that way. And I also thought it was funny how I brought this up, and then you plug in like, "Hey, if you guys need it,
Ah, hey,
stealing stealing my thunder, dude." No, but it's okay. Yeah, for sure. So I try and keep that because that's a lot of money. And you're mentioning all these other programs that have referral fees, and I've seen them too. It's like $25,
yeah,
$30. I'm like, okay, I'm not going out of my way for that, but I'll figure out a way to get a little 720 bag.
yeah, yeah. Hospitables isn't bad. You get $30 off your bill, which isn't bad because like one unit's 40, right? So I mean that's almost a free month. I mean if you stack them and you stack them on top of things, it's a different story, right? So like I don't know, 720, yeah, it's a lot more. And I noticed too, it changes, like it fluctuates depending on like if you get superhost status, it might be like, hey, your referral fee went up to this, and then so on. It's like weird. It's weird how it works. I don't know how it actually works, but I've seen people not get paid out for it either. So have you ever had any
Yeah,
issues where you put yourself on as co-host and then you don't get paid out?
great question because I see this asked on Facebook groups a lot. If you want to get paid out for your Airbnb referral fee, you cannot be API integrated. So this is the hack. You kind of need to not be integrated with the PMS just to be safe. So make the listing, get the first booking, and the first booking payout needs to be over $100. So check the box, and maybe if you have to just key in messages manually, just do it that way until like they go through their whole review process. Yes, he made the listing. Yes, he referred them. There's no property management software integrated or no API integration. Yes, he did a booking for over $100. Boom, 720. Then once the 720 hits your account, then link it up whatever you want. But as the co-host or the host don't have any PMS integrated into it, I think there may be one or two caveats to it, but I think that's the main one because people get all excited and then they hook it up to OwnerRes or whatever, and then they're like, in the process, it gets blocked at some point. And like, hey, you're not eligible for this payout. So
What about Price Labs? Do you have it
that's
hooked up to Price Labs in the beginning?
I think I have Price Labs hooked up and there's no issue there. And I don't know what the conflict of interest with having a PMS hooked up. I don't know, but I guess for whatever reason, they won't pay you out for that. So make your Airbnb, get the first booking, get paid out, then hook it up.
How long after the first booking does it take? Is it like a normal payout schedule, like a week or so?
Yeah, I think it's usually about 6 or 7 days. I've only done it like 2, 3 times, but I mean,
So
just for doing
you manually send messages then. So you just copy the message out of your PMS and then just paste it into their phone or Airbnb or whatever.
I think Hospitable worked by using it because I got paid out and it was hooked up to Hospitable. But I know that other PMSs don't, and I don't quote me on it. I would say if you want the 720 or whatever your referral fee is, just don't hook it up, and yes, do it that way. So I think for this next client that I'm putting on, I'll need to make. They are coming over from Vacasa, so they will need their own new account, and for that, I'm just gonna for the first booking, I'm just going to, do it that way.
Don't we love Vacasa? Aren't they our favorite people ever?
Yeah, I like them a lot because they don't make people money, so that's awesome for me. And
They don't need.
yeah, I don't know how I don't know how well they're doing as a company. I saw a screenshot of something. I don't pay attention to the noise too much, but it is relevant to our industry. But they,
Yeah.
whatever. I think, don't quote me, but I think got rid of some executives, maybe a CEO, and then laid off like a high percentage of their employees because of drops in revenue. So a lot of blood in the water for us building smaller property management co-hosting companies.
So let's pull that up on the next episode we record. So this is a Q&A episode. We could talk about that a little bit. So here's a teaser to the next episode that we're going to have a little conversation about Vacasa and other stuff. But we really hope you enjoyed this episode, and you could submit us your questions. Just shoot us a DM on Instagram, Facebook, Co-Host Bros. We're everywhere. Every platform you're on, any podcast platform you're on, we're on. Any social media platform you're on, we're on. We're even on TikTok. Follow us everywhere, Co-Host Bros. We really hope to see you soon. Like and subscribe and leave us a good review. And we appreciate it. You have a good day, everybody. And there.